Hello everybody in Dad Bod Transformations. Hope we're all doing well, and I hope we've all had a good weekend and a half decent start to the week. So, can I just get some light on this because it seems a bit dark. There, oh hello, there we go. Oh, you can see how ugly I am now. What I have seen, a few comments on here regarding certain parts of a lift. Now, as many of you will be aware, I am the sort of resident biomechanics expert, having a degree in the subject and having worked in the industry for a very, very long time. I want to reveal to you guys, because it's frustrating me seeing the amount of bro science around the topic. And so I want to clarify something for you so you can get the best out of your workouts. I'm seeing it more and more and more. I've got my own private coaching group. I've seen it posted in there. I've seen it posted all over the internet in a lot of other places. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a freebie here in terms of some snippets of information. Now, what I want to talk about and what I want to correct everybody on is what's commonly known as the rack pull. Now, personally, I don't like it being called the rack pull because it signifies, A, that you're doing it in a power rack. Part of this is because I'm a gym owner as well. And quite frankly, doing any sort of deadlift in a gym rack fucks up the bars, okay? It really messes them up because they're not designed to be dropped on that part repetitively in that sort of motion. Okay, so if you are going to do them, please, 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 for the sake of gym owners around the world, get some wooden blocks, nice and cheap, raise the bar on the plates where it's supposed to sit, not in a rack when the weights actually bend down and cause more flex on the bar, giving you even less distance to travel than you think you've got. So get some racks. So that's just a little shout out for gym owners around the world. So here's the little thing about rack pulls. Now, I've had quite a lengthy conversations with quite a few large deadlifters, and I am going to name drop now because I've earned that right because I've worked with them. The first one I'll mention is Andy Bolton. Now, if you're unaware of who Andy Bolton is, he was the WPO powerlifting champion, and at one time he held the world squat record overall, the world deadlift record overall, and the total record overall. He's also the first man on earth to ever deadlift 1,000 pounds, which is 455 kilos. Happens to be a close friend of mine. Now, the second man I'm going to mention, more commonly aware of, you'll know of this guy as well. He goes by the name of Eddie Hall. He's the current world deadlift record holder in strongman, with a pull of 500 kilograms. Okay, so we've got a 455 there. We've got the 500 kilogram deadlift by Eddie. Those are both equipped. And the third person I've been talking to this about is a chap from where half of my heritage is, from Iceland, who goes by the name of Benedict Magnusson. Now, Benny has pulled the world powerlifting raw record deadlift of 460 kilograms. So you've got three of the world's best deadlifters there. I brought this topic up with them, and to a man, they've agreed with me. The rack pull. People do this, and they have a very, very straightforward reason. People turn around and they go, I'm breaking this movement down. I can't lock my deadlift out. I struggle on the lockout. I'm fast off the floor, but I can't lock my deadlift out. So how do I make myself stronger, lift more weight, thus burn more calories, whether you want to diet, whether you want to improve your strength, etc., etc. So what they do is they put it in a rack, or if they're very kind to gym owners, they put it on blocks, and they raise the bar up. First of all, I've seen people doing it in line with and above their knees, which frankly is pointless. It's just a huge injury risk. But those who do perform this movement below the knee, you'll notice there's a huge disparity in the weight that you can use. Okay, so your deadlift off the floor might be, for example, 500 pounds, and then you'll find you can pull close to 700 pounds perhaps maybe even more in this rack pull. You go, I'm working my lockout, I'm working to get stronger, I'm stronger and stronger, but you never seem to get past that 500, 550 pound mark off the floor. And you're racking your brains as to why. I'm fast off the floor, but my lockout's not strong. But I keep doing rack pulls to improve my lockout. Here's the problem. For most of you, the rack pull and your lockout is going to have about as much use as a chocolate kettle. Okay? Just let that sink in for a little minute. People are going to be going, how? What are you talking about? You're breaking down the lift. Yes, I am. And the problem is, as a biomechanics expert, I'm going to give you a little secret away. When it comes to two major movements, the deadlift and the squat, we focus on something called GRF, which is known as ground reactive force. Now, in a nutshell, and to put it in layman's terms, this simply means the amount of force that is being applied through various parts of the foot while the lift is being completed. It helps sort of point out balance and power generation, etc., so on and so forth. What this should indicate to you is we're measuring this from the floor, from the foot position, okay? So everything's going from the floor up. Now, the reason that the rack pull becomes such a poor example of a method to strengthen the top of your deadlift, it isn't because the rack pull is poor at doing that. No, I'm not criticising the movement at all in that sense. The use of it, however, is incorrect, because the reason that most of you can use so much more weight on a rack pull than you can pull off the floor has got nothing to do with your lockout strength. Okay? Nothing. What it has got to do with is your very poor positioning in pulling off the floor. Now, people are going to be arguing now. People are going to have their heads going, no, but I'm fast off the floor. But I'm fast off the floor. I rip it off the floor and then it slows down. If you are one of those people, you have just proven my point. Okay? Yes, in terms of acceleration from nothing to moving, the acceleration is fastest in terms of pure physics off the floor, but not to something you'd note. However, the deadlift came about as a derivative of the Olympic lifting and the cleans, etc. The deadlift should be performed differently. You go through gears like you would drive a car. I appreciate many of you drive automatics, but you understand the principle. You start off in first gear and then you work to continually accelerate the weight. Okay? It is harder if you maintain position to lift off the floor correctly. But the reason, not just reduce range of motion, the reason that you can deadlift more during a rack pull is as demonstrated. I will show you. Okay, let's move this chair. You normally deadlift, you're ripping it off the floor, coming up great. You move up for a rack pull, it's just below the knees. You have this lovely position, nice flat back, there we are, powerful, great. Just how you want to deadlift. Coming up, hips driving to the bar, locked out, perfect. But you see, that's not what's happening when you're pulling off the floor, because your position off the floor is wrong. So what's happening is, you're yanking the bar off the floor and I get to the same position and look where I am. That's from a rack pull or that from the poor position off the floor. That is why you can't lock the weight out. So many talk of the rack pull as a method to improve lockout. And it can be. But only when your technique is correct off the floor. If your technique is not correct off the floor and you're ripping the bar off the floor and rapidly slowing down at lockout, you have technical issues with your deadlift. Okay? That's just the way it is. So the rack pull, it is a tool, but it's being misused. It isn't the reason that you've got a problem. If you want to know the root of your problem, listen to what I just said, the root of your problem, check your roots. Don't start looking at what's above it. Check the ground up first and you'll find you'll massively, massively improve your dead. Pay your dues to your technique off the floor. Learn to pull it off the floor correctly and hit the same position as you do when you rack pull. And then you'll find the rack pull becomes much more beneficial, because until that point happens, what you're doing is overloading muscles that can't deal with it, thinking you can do more off the floor and still putting your lumbar spine, the sort of L4, L5 region, at a serious risk. Okay, now that's a little snippet for you just because I'm feeling generous, but more so because I'm just worried people are going to hurt themselves, and none of us want that. So if you've got any queries, questions, qualms, quandaries, or anything else that begins with those sort of sounds, get through to me. Drop me a message through Emil if you don't want to talk to me. Drop me a message to one of the other coaches if you think I'm a big ugly person that you don't want to talk to. If not, by all means, just come direct to me and I'll answer your questions for you. I hope that's of some use to you. If it's not, then boo-hoo. But if it is useful to you, then it's just useful to one person, then my job here is done. So have a great evening, guys. I am going to go and have some food.